Hi guys, we are on Beatitude 8, video 11. This is the last Beatitude. It culminates in persecution. Isn't that great? You know, no one could think up these Beatitudes but Jesus. They all seem so backwards in our way of thinking. Jesus says, "Blessed are you when you're persecuted." Well, he doesn't say just persecuted. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, this is the only beatitude that Jesus actually expounds upon. He gives a whole nother 2 verses just for this particular beatitude. So I think there's a particular importance for this beatitude. He says, "Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." So, Jesus, what he's saying is if you take a stand for righteousness, if you take a stand for holiness, in other words, if you take a stand for the 7 other Beatitudes, the 7 other virtues of heaven, that the things that are important to Jesus, these Beatitudes, if you take a stand for those in your life, people aren't going to be happy about it. 2 Timothy 3:12 says that all who live godly lives will be persecuted. I'm doing a little paraphrasing there, but that's the gist of what that verse is saying. And when we take a stand to live rightly, people get convicted, and they have a choice. They can either say, okay, well, that's not for me, or they can rage against it. And lots of times, not all the times, but lots of times, people rage against it. And if anyone's been in the kingdom for a number of years and you've taken a stand of righteousness, you know what this is like. And here's the thing that Jesus is emphasizing, that he expounds upon this particular beatitude. He says you need to have the right spirit when you go through trials and persecution for righteousness' sake. He says you need to rejoice and be exceedingly glad. Did you hear that? That sounds so backwards. So he's saying when someone's being difficult and coming against you for the sake of righteousness, when you're doing the right thing, you're to rejoice and be glad. Well, that's what the apostles did in the book of Acts. It says they got whipped and stoned, and then afterwards they rejoiced and thanked to God that they were counted worthy to suffer for the sake of Christ. Is that not ridiculous? I mean, in our thinking, in our human thinking, isn't that crazy? But God's ways are higher than our ways. And I want to submit to you that if you take a stand for these Beatitudes in your life, and you feel persecution, don't waste a trial. In other words, if you're being persecuted, don't complain about it. Don't say, "Oh, woe was me. God, I can't ever do anything right." No, you need to rejoice and be glad. For so happened to the prophets before you and the apostles and anyone else who's ever taken a stand for righteousness. So I wanted to encourage you guys with that. I wanted to end with James chapter 1, verse 2. It says, "Brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that your testing produces faith, which produces patience." Sorry, I read that wrong. "Knowing that your testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." All right, that's all I got for you guys, and I will see you again next video. All right, blessings. Bye.